Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, look, if you follow productivity or goal setting, you already know habits are absolutely crucial to a well-lived life. But today, we're diving into something very specific from the source material, the hidden architecture behind those routines. We're going to completely dismantle everything you thought you knew about building habits. We aren't talking about massive, sweeping life overhauls here. No, we are going to explore the fascinating mechanics of how to engineer tiny successes right into your daily life, day by day. Think about those crazy late-night bursts of inspiration. You know the ones, right? You decide you're going to change your entire life by tomorrow morning. We set this massive goal, and we usually tell ourselves, this time, I just need to try harder. Well, so the crucial point is, lasting change is not about motivation alone. Sheer willpower is literally a highly finite resource. If you rely solely on motivation to keep your resolutions going, you are inevitably setting yourself up for failure the exact second you feel exhausted, stressed, or distracted. So if motivation isn't the dependable engine we thought it was, what is? Well, the true drivers of change actually come from four structural elements. First up is your environment, which quietly dictates almost every single choice you make. Then there are your systems, the actual tangible processes you follow. Next is repetition, literally just getting those reps in without fail. And finally, your identity, or how you actually view yourself. Real transformation isn't about white-knuckling your way through a new routine. It's about building a foolproof structure around yourself using these elements. Here is our blueprint for today. First, the secret to lasting change. Second, the 4 rules of habits. Third, breaking the bad habits. And finally, changing your identity. We'll build this from the ground up and even show you exactly how to dismantle the bad habits holding you back. Okay, let's dive into this with part 1, the secret to lasting change. The core concept the source emphasizes is this: habits are built through design, not desire. It is a completely different way to look at productivity. If you want a positive habit to stick around for the long haul, you have to actively engineer it into your physical and mental reality, rather than just crossing your fingers and wishing for it to happen. Desire is kind of like a fair weather friend. Sure, it might get you to the gym on day 1, but intelligent, deliberate design, that is what keeps you showing up on day 100. That brings us to part 2, the 4 rules of habits. We are about to open up a mental toolkit containing the 4 foundational pillars of habit building. Here are the 4 foundational steps for building absolutely any new behavior. Step 1, make it obvious. Step 2, make it attractive. Step 3, make it easy. And step 4, make it satisfying. Let's actually dig into how these 4 rules play out in the real world. All right, rule 1 is to make it obvious. The fundamental truth here is that what gets seen gets done. If you want to read more, leaving a book buried at the bottom of your backpack, well, it's just not going to work. You need to design your environment so your cues are literally impossible to ignore. Put that book right on your pillow, so you have to physically move it to go to sleep. Want to work out? Put your running shoes dead in the center of your bedroom floor. Make the right choice the absolute most obvious, unavoidable choice in your physical space. A highly effective strategy for making things obvious is called habit stacking. This just means attaching a new behavior to an existing one. For instance, deciding that after brushing your teeth, you will immediately meditate for 2 minutes. You already brush your teeth every single day, without fail, right? That neural pathway is heavily reinforced. By linking a brand new action to an already established routine, you guarantee the new habit gets triggered. Your old habit essentially becomes the automatic, built-in alarm clock for the new one. Now, obviously, just seeing a habit cue isn't enough. We actually have to want to do it. And that brings us to rule 2, make it attractive. Evolutionarily speaking, our brains are hardwired to repeat whatever feels rewarding. When we anticipate something enjoyable, our dopamine levels spike. So the trick is to intentionally pair the habits we need to do with the things we already love doing. Maybe you only let yourself listen to your absolute favorite true crime podcast while you're out running, or you make sure you study at your favorite local coffee shop. The more pleasant the process is, the less it feels like a chore. Rule 3 is make it easy. You know, it is incredibly common to start a new goal by setting the bar way too high. But the real secret is to aggressively reduce friction. Think of starting a habit like trying to move a massive rock. If you make the habit huge, you're trying to push a giant boulder up a steep hill. If you make it ridiculously small, you're just rolling a tiny pebble. A habit that feels difficult creates immediate mental resistance. You want the starting line to be so completely frictionless that you literally can't say no. And this brilliantly illustrates the point. Telling yourself you have to read 30 pages before bed or power through a grueling hour-long workout creates this massive wall of high friction. When you're tired, you will absolutely skip it. But what if you commit to low friction? Read just one single page. Commit to just 5 push-ups. Open your laptop and write just one sentence. By shrinking the requirement, you remove the excuse to bail. You master the highly underrated art of simply showing up. Because ultimately, consistency beats intensity. Showing up in a tiny, manageable way every single day is infinitely more powerful than going incredibly hard once a month, feeling completely exhausted, and then abandoning the goal altogether. The real magic is in the sheer volume of repetitions. Our final rule in the toolkit is Rule 4, make it satisfying. Our brains evolved to prioritize and remember immediate returns. Back in the day, humans weren't planning for a retirement 40 years away. We planned for our next meal. Because of that wiring, if you want to have it to stick over the long haul, you need to feel a sense of success immediately after you finish it. This is exactly why tracking your streaks, checking off a visual habit tracker, or even just taking a quick second to genuinely celebrate a small win works so incredibly well. It really all comes down to this simple truth. What gets rewarded gets repeated. That little hit of immediate satisfaction is the exact mechanism that helps a fragile, brand new habit survive those crucial early days. It acts as a bridge, keeping the behavior alive and rewarding long enough for it to finally sink into your subconscious and become completely automatic. All right, execute a sharp pivot here into part 3, breaking the bad habits. Prepare yourself because if you've been struggling with bad routines, this is going to be a massive light bulb moment. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the mirror image inversion of the rules. We just talked all about how to build good habits, but if you're dealing with negative routines that you just can't seem to shake, you simply invert the framework. To break a bad habit, you weaponize these 4 rules against the behavior. Instead of making it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, you engineer your life to make the bad habit completely invisible, deeply unattractive, frustratingly difficult, and totally unsatisfying. Let's actually look at how this plays out in real life. Make it invisible by literally getting the junk food completely out of your house, so you don't have to rely on your willpower at 10 p.m. when you're exhausted. Make it unattractive by forcing yourself to log your wasted screen time, facing the harsh reality of those lost hours. Make it difficult by using aggressive app blockers on your phone, requiring a ridiculous 20-character password just to open social media. And make it unsatisfying by adding immediate negative consequences, like owing a friend $20 every single time you skip your morning routine. Which brings us to our final section, part 4, changing your identity. We're zooming out from the micro actions of habit building to look at the massive, emotional culmination of who you are actually becoming. See, the ultimate goal of this entire architecture isn't just to check off a box on a to-do list. It is so much deeper than that. Small, repeated actions actually create true identity change over time. When you sit down with that book for 2 minutes, you aren't just reading. You are providing physical proof to your brain that you are a reader. When you drop down to do 5 small push-ups, you are reinforcing the self-image of an athlete. These tiny daily behaviors are the undeniable evidence that convinces your subconscious of your new identity. Every single action is a vote for the type of person you become. So take a look at your routines today. When you evaluate what you actually do rather than what you say you'll do, who are you casting your votes for? And more importantly, if you start re-engineering your environment tonight, who could you start becoming tomorrow? Think about that. Thanks for joining me in this explainer. See you next time.